This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, I'm from Brooklyn. Hey, get any.
Come on, baby, let the good time roll. Come on, baby, let me thrill your soul. Come on, baby, let the good time roll. Roll all night long. Come on, baby.
Yeah, we'll let the good times roll here every Wednesday night on North National Streaming Sports show here. I have on to my right James Martin. J-Train's in with us, and a special guest host with us today. Haven't seen him in a long time. Carlos, the Mad New Yorker. How you doing today, Carlos?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. What are you up to? I haven't seen you. I've been kicked off Facebook, so I'm doing Instagram and Twitter and everything else. What you been up to lately?
Oh man, you got kicked off the face. I thought you fixed that, Matt.
Yeah. They're not letting me fix that, man. You kidding me?
I've been doing some things. I've been pretty busy still because I work at I work in the school system with the school in my neighborhood, and so in New York we're still not at school yet. So I'm still doing those things. So
Okay, excellent. Now, Carlos, I've seen him with Keith Angle on his show there. Are You Serious? I know he kind of stopped that to do an interview show for a while, but I imagine you guys will be back at it again soon. Carlos, and James just brought this to my attention before I went in. I didn't know Jerry West, the logo of the NBA, passed away at 86 years old.
yes.
I mean, is there more of a, well, you could say Jordan, you could say other great basketball players, but a guy that meant so much to the league as a player, coach, GM, and of course, like I say, he is the logo for the NBA, and he was working according to James when he passed away, and James brought up some good points. James brought up that he only got one NBA championship, did play with Will Chamberlain for a while, was MVP on a losing team, the only one. And James, I mean, you brought up the point, James, about 3-pointers, that there was no 3-point line back then, right?
Yeah, no 3-point line, and this guy still managed to score 25,000 points, and it's just incredible to get a MVP, as you said, in the finals in a losing effort. He's the only player to ever do that. I think LeBron had a shot against the Warriors first meeting. But, it just says a lot about it. A significant player, a great player, great GM, great everything. He's got three different Hall of Fames to his credit. It's just, I'm pretty sure it's a tough loss for everybody all around. And so, I hate to see that.
Yeah, and
Go ahead, Carlos.
I just want to mention, I'm not sure how many people remember that he was a GM in Memphis for the Grizzlies, and he did an awesome job to try to keep that team young, relevant, and he had some good players there. They kind of snuck in a few times and deep playoff, trying to get to the playoffs, and towards the end of the seasons, were short a few times of Paul Gasol and even his brother, but he did a lot of things that helped the Memphis Grizzlies after they moved to Vancouver, and made them relevant. And now to this day, the team is there because Jerry West had stamped his name on that team as somebody to try to keep it there, and he did a heck of a job, And I'm not sure if people who are not from Memphis know what he means to Memphis and being sure that they had a basketball team. So
great point, Carlos. So we're going to get back to the NBA. We got a few things to talk about there, but I kind of want to jump at the NFL right now. Mike Tomlin, Pittsburgh Steelers coach, signs a 3-year extension. He's been to 11 playoffs. Never has had a losing record. Is the third coach in Pittsburgh Steeler history. You had Chuck Noll, you had Bill Cowher, and now you have Mike Tomlin, who's going to be there another 3 years. An unbelievable organization that continues to win. And, while all other organizations are changing head coaches sometimes every 2 years and still losing, I don't get why they don't stick with coaches longer, James, to get some kind of, consistency, to get some kind of, it takes 3 years just to get your system started, really. You got to change the culture. You got to get your players. You got to start getting together, working as different units as a team. And by the third year now, if you don't have it together, some teams are getting rid of you, James.
I think there's a blueprint here that the Steelers have. If you look at they go all the way back to Chuck Noll, then you got I can't think of the guy from the 80s and 90s. He's on the panel at CBS. Bill Cowher, yes. And then now you have Mike Tomlin, 17 years. And then there's 6 championships to go along with that. So there obviously is a pedigree and a blueprint that they have, that they like consistency to stay with the same guy. They have the same blueprint, and they're loyal. One thing you can say, whether you like them or not, they're just very loyal. It's a loyal organization, and I can see why people, the blue-collar organization, they wave their terrible towels all around. It's just, if I was living there, if I wasn't a Saints fan, I'd be a Steelers fan for sure, because I just like the whole mantra that they have there, and I can see why they do it. But I can also see why some organizations don't do it. I can give you an example. Jeff Fisher. For a long time, he was there with the Tennessee Titans. Man, he won in the beginning. But there was a lot of bad years at the end. And same thing for the guy in Cincinnati. I can't think of his name. He was for a long time.
Marvin.
Yes, Marvin. Yes, he was there too long, man. And I can see why. The organization. So a lot of it, I think, has to do with maybe management. You look behind the scenes; they had, a lot of guys that are not really good at managing their system. But having a coach to have a good system, like Mike Tomlin, again, never never had a losing season, man. That says something. I would say so. Yeah. I'd like and say, okay, there's a thin line on whether or not you want to. If you find the right system, you got the trifecta: good organization, good management, and good coaching. It works, and then you stick with it.
Yeah,
I would agree with that. Go ahead, Carlos. Go ahead.
Well, you mentioned there's a lot of things. There's another thing that happens when you have all those three is that you get good players or great players. They will jump on your team in a hot second, in a hot minute. No good or great player out of a college wants to go to a losing team. Ever. It don't matter if they're in California, San Diego, Las Vegas. The weather's nice to go to a place where that could be attractive, but there's no real championship caliber mind, strong-minded, strong-willed person who's gonna sacrifice their body, their health, their and for another team to be loyal and then be like, yeah, let me go to a losing team. That's not reality. So what you're mentioning is correct, and the fact that the Pittsburgh Steelers have had that consistency, they have also brought up their players who've had playoff experience or championship experience to be coaches in the system, which is how Tomlin got there, right? So, that's something that can't be done in other places for a lot of reasons, man. And Pittsburgh is just that gives them that opportunity, that actual location, that actual mentality of tradition, like those kind of things. It's a cultural experience, and you're not going to get that unfortunately, you won't get that from the Giants. You're not going to get that from the Jets. You're not going to get that as in Vegas with the Raiders. Those teams might have had those things and have traditions, but that's not comparing them to Pittsburgh. You can't do that. And so they've done it. They've done it well. They've done something that's very important that you did to piggyback off of what you said. What they have done, they've also got rid of players with bad chemistry, right? And they've got rid of a lot of coaches and assistants who weren't good or were not fitting in the structure and the foundation of what they got there. So that's important, and that's one of the reasons why they're going to stick to a guy like Tomlin. I mean, you might be sick of him. Somebody else might be sick of him, but we're not Pittsburgh Steelers fans. And, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, as much as they want to win, they don't want just some regular Joe Schmo to come and take over that kind of position of being a head coach either, though. So, and there are not many players away from trying to get to the right place, right? So I think their biggest issue has been having a GM that can get the right players to fit what they got going on there. That's for me, from my perspective,
Yeah, well, there were a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers fans. I don't know if a lot is a good term because I read a lot about Steelers fans unhappy with Tom. There were a lot of Steelers fans that weren't happy because he didn't get rid of the offensive coordinator right away. And listen, they haven't made a Super Bowl run in a while. They haven't gone to a championship. Steelers fans expect that, that the Steelers are going to do that. So there was a little uneasiness about Tomlin for a little while there. It would be crazy to get rid of him, in my opinion. I think he's one of the best coaches in the league by far. Maybe the best coach in the NFC North, if you look at it. I mean, you probably would say him and maybe Harbaugh are probably the two best coaches there. I give the edge to Tomlin because I think Tomlin overall, as you said, you both have said, the players never get sick of him. And I think a big reason head coaches run out of steam is because the message gets old. Tomlin, the message never gets old with these guys. They come from behind to get that 500 record for him a couple times. So his message is still ringing in that locker room. And maybe you're right, Carlos, maybe it is changing coaches, getting rid of some of the players. And, it's just a great tradition there in Pittsburgh. And I'm glad they're one of the teams that are doing it right. I respect the Pittsburgh Steelers a lot. And, and you're right. Pointed out, they're not that far away from getting to that championship again. It could happen this year or next year. They're that good, I think. So good for the Steelers. Really weird. How would you like to be a player on a team? You're going to go overseas to a country that is violent, that has gangs. You can't wear green uniforms because it insults the gangs. You got to stay in your hotel, and you're going to be driven back and forth to the field in armored cars. That's not a place I want to play. And I'm surprised that the teams haven't put up more of a fuss. If I'm on the team, I might say, hey, I ain't doing this. I'm not going to the field getting shot. I'm not doing it. Do what you want, NFL. I mean, to me, it's that serious. There's no armored protection on the field. What do you think, Carlos? I mean, would you want to play in that kind of conditions?
Well, being of Latin descent and understanding what the culture is, and even having friends and family that been to Brazil, know about Brazil, it's not. Those things exist. Let me just say, those things exist everywhere. Gangs exist everywhere. There's not. You can't. And however hard they are, or whatever they are, I think it's just like a negative point because those things were not brought up for the people who went to Brazil for the World Cup or the Olympics. Like those weren't things that were brought up and talked about. So for NFL players to mention that, maybe they don't want to do that extra travel. Maybe it's something, and they should say that, and it's okay that they say that. But I wouldn't put a dark light where there's none but sunshine. Like Brazil's played a great host to the World Cup championship games and also to the Olympics. And so to say something like that is that's okay. You can, but don't make it a dark light on something that's not really dark, especially if now this is part of the commissioner's fault, right? Because he's trying to grow the game, but he's like going to Brazil is a long trip. And it depends on where you're going to play too. And the weather and all that. So, he should have baby stepped this whole situation. And so I feel like if the NFL was going to go to Brazil, they should do it like in a couple more years where the economy in Brazil has more stability. And then, like you said, they have those things that are the extra security that is available. I would be more from that perspective, but to be shining a dark, to be putting the dark, making it dark where it's not, I think that's a little bit too much. And that's just something just to give a negative look on some for what players don't want to do, which is travel to Brazil and play a game.
What are your thoughts, James?
I really didn't read much into it besides what I've heard about it. I'm not sure if this information is coming from credible sources. Who's receiving this? Did the commissioner put this out? That they receiving these threats?
So the story goes from that a player mentioned to other players and to the PA, to the Players Association, that how are we going to go and play down there and not wear our colors like green? You know, if that's something that would offend or be offensive to gang, and it's gang related, the colors are. So that's how the story somehow or another was brought to light.
I mean, I get the fact that the NFL is trying to branch out and continue to build a brand globally. And you see they're not going to stop this from happening. It's going to happen. So they're just taking precautionary measures. I get it. You just do that, but continue to play the game. I don't know. It's just I would go there and play still. And just, I mean, again, if I'm from the perspective of the NFL, we're still going to try to branch and see how things go. I don't know if, because it's too much money out there. Like you said, Brazil had the World Cup there. They had some other things there. I don't know. I just wouldn't travel. I wouldn't do unnecessary things like make myself a target as players. But I'm if they're bound to the what's up, Pags? If they're bound to be at the hotels, and they're going to keep everybody there, then I would say some player or somebody's going to disregard the rules and go do something that's risky regardless. But hopefully they all just abide by the rules that they've been put in place to make sure that everybody's safe.
So welcome to Philly Sports Guy. Pags coming in, just came back from London watching.
Who was there? I saw you on TV, Pags. They put you there like 2 times, bro.
Yeah, it's always the handsome ones.
Yes, it is. So the Mets and the Phillies
smoking on some fish and chips, bro.
The Mets and Phillies did split the series over there. Mets came back at the end to spoil the Phillies sweep, but I saw Pags was having a great time over there, and he came to stop in at least for a little while with us tonight. Pags, we're talking about the football game down in Brazil. There's been a couple of stories. They can't wear green because of the gangs. That's their colors, or they don't like those colors, or whatever the case may be. I read an article where they will be staying in a hotel, not able to leave the hotel, driven back and forth in armored vehicles. Doesn't sound like a game I would want to go play, Pags, and that's what I kind of posted to Carlos and James here. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll be honest. I mean, I'm going, and I have the company I am going with has expressed concerns about me going to that as well, thinking that I would be a target. I mean, I guess there's some, some credence to this, but I'm going anyways, and I may not wear a green jersey, but I'll be painting my face the way I normally paint my face. And if they have a problem with it, they're going to have to tell me I can't come in. And I tell you, it's the NFL. The NFL did this, so the NFL has got to live and die by this sword. I can't imagine. Yeah, I got to imagine that even the cartels are going to want this to be successful, because they're going to want more people in there. They're going to want more opportunity. If they ruin the first one, nobody will ever go back to Brazil for anything. They're going to be on the world stage here, and they know it. And the cartels know this too. Listen, the cartels are in it for one thing: to make money. That's all it is. Whatever they do with Americans, it's all about trying to make money. They're going to make more money by not having issues than they would by having issues the first time around. Just my
I would
opinion.
agree with that, and I would agree with that. And Carlos said, they had the World Cup there, they had the Olympics there, no problems. I mean, I don't know if the NFL might have more views in the Olympics and the World Cup. I don't know. Maybe not the World Cup, but the point being is that it is a big stage. So it can happen in any stadium, really. If somebody wants to do something, they're going to do it. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, everybody's safe and it's successful, and and everything goes according to plan. So
when you travel to Latin
Go ahead.
America, you usually always yellow anyways, right? There's the caution. They tell you if you're traveling to Latin America, there's instances of political unrest. There's instances of it could be weather. It could be like a lot of, they let you know. But, if you already got a ticket there and you know what you're going to do, or what you might as well just do yourself at the end of the day,
So we'll talk a little bit of Giants and Jets real quick. Waller does officially retire, freeing up money for Giants to go ahead and sign somebody else using his money. The Jets are having a little problem right now with former Eagles defensive end / linebacker Hasten Reddick, who wants a new contract, and it looks like Howie Roseman knew it was coming. Said, "You guys in the Jets, you handle him. We don't want no part of that." So I'm not sure if it's because of guaranteed money or because he wants a contract extension, but right now he's sitting out mandatory mini camp, and of course is going to get fined for that. Pags, good move by Howie again.
Yeah, well, I mentioned this actually, that was what was coming down the path, was that he was becoming a little bit of a cancer in the locker room, complaining about money, and that he's a stat chaser. So, I mean, he's a good player, but I guess Howie saw the writing on the wall, and now the Jets are dealing with it. I mean, that's why we gave him up for nothing. I think we got a bag of donuts for him.
Two bags of donuts.
See? Hey, you know what? And I didn't get. I like Boston cream. I hope that's what they got at least.
No, donuts, not those eclairs and stuff.
Yeah, they were the good donuts.
Like jelly donuts.
Carlos is arguing they were the good donuts. So, it wasn't like, it was a jelly-filled donut. So anyway, James, you look quiet. So let me get you in here. Right now, according to what I've heard or was reported kind of by Bill Belichick's friend, said something that, listen, if the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, McCarthy, doesn't get it done this year, Bill Belichick may be the next head coach.
I wouldn't be surprised. Excuse me. I wouldn't be surprised about that because Bill Belichick is a storied head coach, and he's a winner. And so far, Mike McCarthy has not won anything. And I think there's impatience there with Jerry Jones, and I think he's going to keep him on a short leash. Don't get me wrong; they were winning in the regular season, but Dallas is known in the 90s, of course, for winning championships. So I think he wants to get back to that, and of course, they're America's team, so there's pressure on everybody. And you see how Jerry Jones has handled coaches back in the day, even with Bill Parcells. I mean, they didn't win. These guys part ways. He even parted ways with their championship coach in Jimmy Johnson. So, I mean, he later realized he made a mistake with that, and they probably could have won more championships had that coach stayed there. But with that said, I could see it as him as a possible replacement. He just has the pedigree there. He's won 6 championships. You just can't argue that. And I think they have a lot of good pieces specifically on defense. And I think he would definitely get that defense in order, especially with a player like Micah Parsons. And, it's just that'd be great for for him to work with, and I think they'd be solid on that side. And of course, maybe get a guy like I don't know if he's still coaching or not. Whoever his offensive coordinator was up there in New England was the guy that can't ever coach regularly. I mean, as a regular head coach, but he's an excellent offensive coordinator. So maybe bring a guy like that with him down there. Yeah, maybe bring a guy like that with him down there. Huh?
Jim O'Brien, I think is who you're talking about. Carlos, Bill Belichick's old school. I mean, and the players aren't, McCarthy is not that really. I mean, the players complain about being too, winded in the playoffs. They were tired. Bill Belichick ain't going to have none of that kind of talk. They're not going to be tired in the third, fourth quarter. Do you think they'll rub some of them players the wrong way if he goes down?
I think that people worry too much about what the players think, and they got to make sure they get the players that they need to take them to the next level. And Belichick will probably go in there and what is he going to do that he hasn't done before, right? He's going to get in people's faces, and he's and if that rubs you the wrong way, then you don't need to play football. Like, football is played by men who could take orders, get things done, and get better than what the orders were given, right? Like, that's always been the old school mentality. That's a mantra, right? Suck it up and do your job. If you can't do your job, why should I pay you? Get out of here, right? So move on. And the problem is that would probably rub Jerry Jones the wrong way, because he's the one overpaying for talent anyway. He's always overpaid for talent. And he thinks he knows how to run a football team, but all he does is own a football team. So Jerry Jones will probably get sick of Belichick before anything else happens between Belichick and players, to be honest with you. Because if you're a player and you're a championship player, you're going to listen to what a Super Bowl championship winning person, any coaching staff will tell you before you listen to an owner. Yeah, he's won championship, but he's not in the grass. He's not doing drills, and he's not he's not on the field. So I think the relationship between Jerry Jones and Belichick will be more of an issue and upper management and ownership than it will be between Belichick and the players, to be honest with you. That's what I see happening more than likely.
Pags, I mean, the Eagles and the Cowboys have been going back and forth in the playoffs for the last few years here. Dallas does have a good team. They really do have a good team. I don't know if you can blame the head coach for the players being, I know he's the head honcho there. He's where the buck stops. But I don't know if it's his fault that they lose in the playoffs all the time. I mean, if the players aren't performing well, if they fumble the ball, there are other reasons besides just not being coached right. That they weren't coached right, they wouldn't be 12-5 the last 3 seasons.
Well, I mean, they have been winning games, but they have not been doing well in the playoffs. They've been one of the most penalized teams across the board. It's not something that is going to win when it matters most. And that's the problem. I thought last year they were going to start to fall apart. I think this year they will fall apart. I've been saying it for a couple of years that I think
we'll see
the
what
wheels
happens.
are about to fall off.
I have a question for you guys. How many players do you think the Cowboys need for them to make a legitimate playoff run?
3.
I
think they need a defensive lineman.
I think they have the. Go ahead.
I think they need a running back, a real running back. And then I think they need, I liked Schultz. I thought Schultz was a good tight end. I think they need a third weapon on the receiver end. They've got Lamb. I don't know that Dak is the guy, but taking Dak out of the equation, knowing that he can actually play pretty well when he wants to, if they had a better tight end or a second wide receiver that could really do the job, not just be adequate, I think that's what they need. I think they need defensive line help because you got Micah Parsons on the back, so he can't do it all himself. You need somebody else to be able to rush the quarterback. You need to be able to get maybe part of the offensive line. Maybe you need somebody to really stop that. But I think you need a better running back. Zeke's not it, and obviously when Pollard was the guy, he wasn't it either.
You're all making. And yet, saying all that, they still were 12-5. 12-5. And sometimes having a good team needs not just a good coach, but a great coach. You go back to 2002 when Tampa Bay they had Tony Dungy. Those teams were really good, but they could never get over the hump. And then, of course, you bring in John Gruden, and they win the championship. Sometimes maybe it takes that. Maybe it takes a change at the head.
Interestingly about that year was that John Gruden brought both teams to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, he brought both teams to the Super Bowl that year. And that was why Oakland at the time, that one lineman went nuts because they had the same terminology. They had to change up the terminology last minute, and he went nuts and didn't show up.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, listen, those are all great points. I just know on the football teams, you need leaders. You need leaders in the locker room. I don't know who the leaders in the locker room are in Dallas. You could say Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons seems more like a me guy than he does a team guy. And every great team has team leaders. Every Super Bowl team has had team leaders. The coaches can't do it all. They're there to work the drills. They got to execute. Sometimes in the fourth quarter, you need a guy to step up. You need a guy to rally the troops on the field. And it doesn't seem like the Dallas Cowboys have had that since in the 90s, since they had, the Emmitt Smiths and the Troy Aikmans and the Michael Irvins and the defense they had back then. They don't have that on the field no more. And again, you could blame the head coach for that if you want. He's the head guy. So if he's not established them relationships, he ain't gonna have it. So let's jump into the end. Go ahead.
One more thing. Like even if you need 3 guys, 4 guys, or you want looking for a leader, like somebody who's gonna gel the team and take it to the next level. If you pay Dak, can you pay CD? And if you pay both of them, you're not gonna get any more of that. They're stuck no matter what because of contract.
Yeah, right. I mean, all good points, man. All good points. They can restructure contracts, though, Carlos. They can put incentives and they can pay them the one-time shot and not count against the salary cap. They find ways to get their players in if they got to. They got to be creative sometimes, but they can do it. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about Dan Hurley. Dan Hurley won the two college championships at UConn. The Lakers come up and they offer him the head coaching job. Now, this offer doesn't even put him in the top coaches in the NBA. So they offer to give him like $50 million for 6 years, if I'm not mistaken, or it's $60 million for 7 years. I know it's $10 million less than the years he signs. If you really want that coach, if you're the Los Angeles Lakers, this is your guy. Why don't you just go out there and say, okay, I'm going to make you the highest paid NBA coach in the league. Come play for us. Aren't you going to just throw everything you can at this guy? You're going to wow him. You don't want him to think about it. You don't want him to think about UConn and them 2 championships. It's only really $10 million less than UConn is paying him right now for the contract he's in. Does that make sense to you guys at all?
I mean, it's 5 years, 70, I think. So, I agree with you. I think I would have. I think it's just a smokescreen. I don't know. From what I understand, I think they wanted JJ Redick, and I think that's LeBron's guy. So who knows if he's going to get the job, or I think he may have turned it down too. So they might be stuck right now with not getting a big name coach in there. But if they really wanted him, they would have given him the money. I don't think they really wanted him there. I think it's just a name he threw out just to throw another player. I mean, a person in the mix. I think they want a guy. And to be honest, I think ultimately, regardless of what anybody says, I think LeBron still has his hand in the pot, and his opinion matters. And so, again, him sitting online with JJ Redick, it's no coincidence that they have a podcast together. I mean, and LeBron could have just did a podcast by himself, but he's got JJ Redick on there. So it's kind of weird, but who knows? I mean, at this point, this is going to be tough for the Lakers. But I agree with you. They should have threw money at him if they really wanted him.
I mean, listen, he's a college coach, coaching college kids at the highest level, and has as much control, even with the NIL the way it is and the transferring the way it is, that he can still control the situation. He can control what's going on in the court, and that's what a coach wants. They don't want limitations, And when you go to a huge media market like the LA, you have no control. It doesn't matter if you're the head coach or not. Like, you can't control what the media says about you, even if you do something positive. You can't control your players because they're all getting overpaid. You can't control, the only thing you got is the office with your name on it at the end of the day, and you get a paycheck. And that will make anybody's day miserable when you're not the one who's actually the one in charge. Like, look, so, and you're talking about a man who has been grown up in the game of basketball, whose father is a traditionalist. He taught at a Catholic high school. And he coached there for over 20 years. His brother who's a traditionalist. He went to a fundamentally sound school like Duke. He played also at a very, at a smaller school, but so these guys, he's had structure in his life. He's a fundamentally sound person and player, and he's been surrounded by people who understand what the game of basketball is. Those are things that he will not be surrounded by if he goes to LA Lakers at all, right? You have a team that might be for sale if Miss Buzz doesn't want to, put up or shut up these next few years. You have you got a GM who's just trying to throw, mud at the wall to see if it sticks, and you have a player who has his foot in and out of retirement. That doesn't sound like a place that anybody want to coach. Would you want to coach that, even if they gave you $80 million?
It's a good question, and Pags, there's one thing about college coaches: they last. If they're good, if they're getting in the tournaments, if they're getting up to the Elite Eight, they stay in college years and years and years. I think you've had like 3 to 4 NBA coaches that have won the championship and have been fired. I mean, the next few years. I mean, it's crazy to me how they handle them coaches.
The inmates run the asylum. That's what happens.
Well, you got to look at the owners too. The owners are crazy, man. I mean, I'm here in New York, and we got the Knicks and the Nets, and as many players and jersey sellers that they've gotten, surrounded themselves with. They ain't been a championship on either of those teams since the 70s.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. Very true. So, so what I got for a list, the top 3 that the Lakers have: Becky Hammon. That ain't happening. They are not going to hire a women's coach. I mean, that was number 1. Chris Quinn, Miami assistant head coach for the past decade under Stephen Kerr, and also Kenny Atkinson, which is he's a kind of old school coach too, which could be possible. I didn't read nothing about Redick, so those are the top 3 that I saw anyway, James. That could be coaches there. You're still going to have to deal with LeBron. You're still going to have to deal with that whole Lakers mystique out there. They did win the mid championship there. They did win the in-season championship that everybody is very impressed with, and it's high in the rafters. Anyway, so Commissioner Adam Silver teases 3 cities for expansion: Seattle, Las Vegas, and Mexico City. Yeah, that's the 3 sites that he mentioned. I can imagine. I can see one in Seattle. They had the Supersonics. I could see that coming back. I could see Vegas. Vegas is getting a bunch of teams. I don't see Mexico City. I don't know about you guys. Carlos, you said what? You don't think so?
Yeah, I mean, just the whole bit of what's going on in Mexico. They're trying to expand the game, but I don't know what they would do to make that city would they put in Mexico City or would they put them in Monterrey or like where in Mexico will they play? Mexico City?
That's what they said.
Mexico City is like the largest population, the most largest populated city in the Western Hemisphere. So, if you want to compare money to the sports business and you want to talk about teams, Mexico's soccer team that doesn't have that many World Cups, like they make so much money in the United States, it's ridiculous. When they play each other and they do the CONCACAF and all that. So I could see them they're intrigued about the money, and they want to grow the sport, but you gotta, I feel like you have to fortify the structure of the NBA within the USA. Like, the brand has to be stronger before you can go as far as even saying you want a team in Mexico. I know they have some in Canada, but those teams have struggled, right? They've had issues with Toronto, and they talked about in the past. He talked about bringing a team to Montreal. Just fix what you have in house, right? Get these owners and these co-owners and these teams that are struggling, get them up strong, solidify them, make them presence, give them a stronger presence, fix their arenas, fix the way you market the team within their own markets. What are you trying to do? Like, they saw that basketball failed in Seattle, and the ownership is what was the biggest problem there than anything else. Because I won't say, and I don't know one person in Washington who wasn't a Supersonic fan. I can't even, I've been there. I have friends from college that went there. I'm being from New York. I've seen them, how they support the Seahawks, how they support the Mariners. And when they took away the Sonics because of ownership and what they want to do, man, they need to fix those things so that other teams don't do what happened and things don't happen to what happened to Seattle. That's, to me, they should focus on that.
Well, James, it's all about the dollar. They don't want to fix things. They want to expand things. They want more money coming in. They're not worried about what a stadium is doing there. That's the owner's problem and the city's problem for what the owners do. So Adam Silver don't care about that. He wants to get more teams and make more money, more revenue coming in, right?
Of course. It's all about revenue. They're constantly getting big TV deals and everything else and you see these big, huge dollar contracts these players are getting. The NBA, these guys probably get paid the most money between endorsement and I know baseball does, but if you looked at numbers in regards to NBA and their Supermax deals, they get a lot more money for the bang for your buck in regards to how much they get paid there. But Seattle is probably, it's more of a sentimental place. We're looking at Vegas. They just got a football team there. I'd be interested to see how Vegas does, in the long run, in regards to football. But before I put another sport there, Seattle seems like the number one spot I'd choose. I don't know about Mexico City. I'm kind of with Carlos in regards to making sure you get things done here before. That's interesting to go south of the border to bring a team. But like you said, man, the population is that huge. I'm pretty sure basketball would be great down there. But how big is the sport down there? That's another question. So I'd be interested to see Seattle get another team back there. Like he said, everybody he knows there. I have family from Seattle, and my uncle, man, he was a diehard Sonics fan. It was devastating when they left. And so, yeah, I'd be remiss to say that I wouldn't be happy to see Seattle get another team, another Supersonics team.
So, Pags, the Dallas Mavericks are up. The Dallas Mavericks. The Celtics are up 2-0. They're going to Dallas. They haven't lost a away game yet. Kyrie has scored 12 and 16 points. Luka's hurt. Do they have a chance at all, or is this a sweep, Pags?
Yeah,
I think so too.
Luka's hurt. That's the end of that. End of game. That's the end. The moment he got hurt, that was over. And Boston's had a very easy way through this. Every superstar's been hurt on the other team, so that's the only way Boston's able to win.
Well, Pags, they were picked. They were picked as the favorite to go and win the championship in the beginning of the season. It's not like they're surprised or anything. I mean, everybody thought they were going to win the championship this year.
Yeah, you know what? And I could have picked my nose and came out with a winner too. You know what I mean? So it's when everybody's hurt, when all the good players are hurt on the other team, the team that isn't hurt is going to win, and it's been Boston. Hey, listen, God bless them. They've been lucky to be able to get these teams at not 100% and not at full strength. That's not their fault. So they win the championship.
I mean,
James, would you wait? James, would you put? I mean, there's been a lot of great Celtics teams. Would you say this is one of the better Celtic teams in history?
Defensively, they are. I would say, yeah. I mean, man, I look. You can't argue facts with what Pags is saying about who they played, but I would still put. I mean, the regular season they didn't play all hurt teams, and they still had the best record. So you got to at least include that to say that this team still is pretty good, Pags. And to have both Brown and Tatum, and let's just say this. These guys shot, 6 for 36 from 3-point, somewhere around there. It was just bad. And yet defensively, they still shut down Dallas. They shut them down. And so were the parts that they were, they weren't great at, they found other ways to be great. And so that's what makes up a championship team. And they have the pedigree to be up there with, like you said, you're asking me, Mac, would I put them up there? I wouldn't put them as the best, no. But I would put them up there with the rest of those teams, maybe like second or third tier, as a really good team. And adding Drew Holiday was one of their best decisions they made. I mean, the guy had championship pedigree with Milwaukee. They made a mistake, let him go. And he showed you why. Look, these guys are shooting great in the second game. And who's the highest scorer in the game and one of the better defensive players in the game is Drew Holiday. So, yes, I do think they deserve to be up there.
I think we should give credit to where credit is due. And as much as they picked Boston to win this series, you got to give it up for Brown and for Tatum stepping up the game and somewhat, I'm not going to say consistent because it's still game 2, just have a little bit of consistency, man. I was frustrated watching basketball with these guys and seeing them not reach the potential, right? Because they got the contracts, but they, you was watching, the guy off the bench was scoring more than you. The guy off the bench had more assists than you. The guy off the bench had more stops than you. Like where are these superstars at? What in the fourth quarter? What happened to this defense? And they've been able to turn that around and to Dallas is hurt with but they've been able to make positive moves in this series to kind of let people know, hey, we were the team that was picked, and we are the team now that should win this championship. Now, Kyrie has yet to do one of those games every series where he has over 40 points. That's coming down the road. I don't think it'll be a sweep, to be honest with you, but I think that Boston has asserted themselves. As long as these two guys do great, they have to play better than they play in the playoffs. Brown and Tatum have to be great because that's what's expected of them. That's what the money says that they're going to do, and that's how they got their contracts to begin with, right? And we want to see that as basketball fans. Like I don't Pags is like it's not his team, but if you have great players, you want to see all the great players do great things, and when you don't, that's when you're like, man, this is a terrible series, right? And Porzingis, gotta give him credit. He came back, he did his thing, but is he gonna keep doing that the rest of the series? Probably not, because that's not his forte. That's not, that happens every once in a blue moon. So we'll see. I don't think it's a sweep, but I think that right now Boston's deeper because of the injuries and the way that the defense that they're holding off for the Mavericks. But you have to give them credit. They're playing better defense, and their two all-stars are playing like all-stars or better, which is something that's good to see on TV.
I just think Boston's just a better team. Overall team, they're more talented than the Dallas Mavericks. They got a better bench.
They shoot a lot though. They keep themselves in games because they shoot like 153 points.
I'm just saying, Carlos. I don't think Dallas is even close to being on the Celtics part. To be honest with you, it's a good thing for them. Denver got knocked off. It's a good thing in Minnesota laid an egg because I think they would be a little bit of a better series than they have with Dallas right now. I think Dallas has been the lucky one in the playoffs. I really do. I think they're the ones that got lucky with the teams they played. So
I think
I guess you could look at it that way too.
They've worked so much to get to this point that they're like, now you can see how deep they're not, right? They're tired. They're falling short on a few things. They're not playing defense. So they're not that as deep as Boston.
You're saying stop. You just said Dallas was the lucky ones.
Yeah,
Dallas was the lucky ones. They had a great series. They had the first series that 4 versus 5 was a great series. That was a hard-fought series. Boston played Miami without Jimmy Butler. Guess who's going to win that series? Then they played Indiana. They didn't even get to play the Knicks because or they played Cleveland. They played Cleveland, and Cleveland's main guy was hurt. I don't even know who Cleveland's main guy is.
Mitchell.
And then they play Indiana without Halliburton. And now they're playing Dallas without Doncic. Come on now. You're going to tell me that Dallas is the lucky one? Get the hell out of here. Boston hasn't had anybody. I tell you, they haven't even the 2 stars on Boston haven't even performed up to their level. They haven't even performed up to their level.
That's what I'm saying. The Pags. That's why, and I agree with Pags. Like, because most of the time I don't. But right now, these first 2 games, they're actually kind of looking like all-stars, right? I mean, I'm watching the games.
I don't think so. Pags, just because you yell louder don't make you right. Dallas ended up playing OKC. OKC was not ready for the playoffs. They're a good young team and no experience. Dallas gets by them, right?
But OKC was the best team in the West.
Then they played the Timberwolves. And I don't know what the hell happened to Edwards or what the hell happened to their.
Hold on, you're missing a series. You're missing a series. Dallas played somebody before they played OKC.
Who did they play?
Dallas.
Before
That first series went to 7 games. Who was that? I don't even know. Was it Phoenix? No, it wasn't Phoenix. Who was the fifth? Who was the 5th seed? Or Dallas was the 5th seed. Who was the 4th seed? Because that was a great series, and it came down to the 7th game, and Dallas won it on the road.
I don't know.
That was the series.
Well, I'm just saying.
I agree with OKC, but Minnesota should have been better, and they didn't.
They looked terrible. They were terrible. Townsend was terrible. Karl Anthony Towns was ridiculously terrible. Listen. All I'm saying is the Celtics, in the end, are just a better team than Dallas, and that's simple to me. I'd say they sweep it. We'll see what happens. I want to get to the little Caitlin Clark news with you guys because she always seems to pop up here, and now it's about the Olympics.
The Clippers.
Caitlin Clark doesn't get taken to the Olympics, and there's a lot of stuff going on. Some people think it's because they don't like her. Other people are saying, well, if she doesn't play, they're not going to get as many views as if she was on the team with the Olympics. Me and Jack had a big debate about this morning. To me, the Olympics are about putting the best team on whatever floor or whatever event you're going to go to, and you go to win. It's not a popularity contest. It's not for views, believe it or not. It's for that nation to beat that nation to become the gold medal winners or wherever you're going to place. Caitlin Clark is not one of the best players in the league. And it's to me, it's that simple. She's not in the top.
Are you
10.
kidding me? Are you kidding me? Christian Leitner wasn't the best player, and he brought him on the dream team. Don't tell me about this. This is a bunch of bullshit. I tell you, I'm glad that Italy picked her up. I'm glad Italy picked her up.
Yelling doesn't make you right, Pags. When did
So Christian Leitner was one of the best players in the country. Was one of the best players in the country when he played on the dream team? Are you telling me that?
I'm telling you, Chris Leitner didn't play in the WNBA. They didn't play in the WNBA, did he? Did he get drafted by the WNBA? No. The WNBA has
he got drafted by the NBA. Are we talking the same language here?
Yeah, you're trying to say you're saying what the NBA did. I'm not talking about the NBA. I'm talking about the WNBA right now. WNBA has never had a college player or I don't know about a rookie, but no one that has been in the top 10 that I know of has been on that team. So for you putting Chris Leitner there, that's apples and oranges.
Taurasi as a rookie was on the Olympic team. In fact, Taurasi's been on the Olympic development team since she was 12.
There you go. I'll give you that. I remember that. that.
But she wasn't the best player in the world when she was 12.
Oh, yes, she was. Taurasi was a great rookie player. She was a great rookie player. Caitlin Clark is not averaging anywhere close to what Diana Taurasi makes.
You want to know why? Do you want to know why? Because they are pounding the living hell out of her. They are beating her. Okay,
this isn't even.
I'll shut up. Shut up. I'll mute myself.
Wait a minute, Pags. Wait a minute. This is not even what I want to get to. So, with her not being on the team, this guy who's with ESPN. Let me get his name real quick. It's David Dennis. Says he's worried because they didn't take Caitlin Clark, that the American public is going to turn against the Olympic team and have disdain for the black women on the WNBA team.
Let's go Italy. Go Italy. Caitlin Clark's want to be on Italy. Team Italy.
I think that's going too far in regards to what the guy said on ESPN, but there's no way. But what I will say is that they all dropped the ball. I mean, and there's so much viewership coming towards the WNBA because of Caitlin Clark. Regardless of who's bringing the viewership, it's going to bring everybody. Jordan did the same thing for the NBA. There's no way that this girl is not getting the viewership. She should definitely be playing in the Olympics.
Your mic.
Yeah. James, you got to get closer to.
Yeah, your mic. Your mic is going bad.
Sorry.
Get closer. There you go. Get closer.
Right.
No, you always fade out at the end, James. I don't know why.
That's terrible. How about now?
There you go.
All right.
Okay, cool. All right, so I think they dropped the ball ultimately. So there's no way someone that's bringing so much attention to a league like Jordan did. I mean, I'm not calling her Michael Jordan, but I'm just saying she's on a level to where she can bring marketing, she can bring viewers to a whole league. Why not give her an international stage? Why not give her an international stage? Still no.
But it's a moot point. There's no comparison between her and Michael Jordan. I mean, you're saying that Michael Jordan got more views because he was great. Caitlin Clark is not great right now. Caitlin Clark is far from great right now. I think the last game she got 10 points and 8 rebounds. That's not even close to being great. You've got on the Olympic team. All right, so there was a runner more popular than Jesse Owens, say. To get more views for the Olympics, Jesse Owens will run different. Maybe he'll run less races. We're going to put the more popular runner out there. That makes no sense at all.
No, that's not what he's saying. And like right now, what Pags is saying is it's about the amount of eyes that are wanting to see Caitlin Clark and compete in an Olympics. It's not about the fact that who's better at the moment. It's the fact that she is a great college basketball player, not getting an opportunity to play in the Olympics. That's where the argument is. It has nothing to do with what she's doing in the WNBA because she just got there.
It doesn't. So if you're not a good player in the WNBA, you should be on.
No, because
Can't wait for these Olympics. I can't wait for these Olympics. And then she's playing for Italy because these officials in the Olympics aren't going to be mamby-pamby like they are in the WNBA right now. And they're letting everybody crush her. She's going to be able to get away. She's going to be able to play like she did in college.
Sorry for her. I feel sorry for her.
In the last 30 years, you've had Sue Bird, you've had Taurasi, and you've had almost every UConn player go to the Olympics before they've been professional anyways, or they've been on the Olympic development team or practice squad. So the fact that she's not on the team and someone like Taurasi will be there for the 6th time, which is okay, which is a great record. But, you know, if you're wanting to support women's basketball for the USA, you're thinking Taurasi, you know, she's not playing that well in the WNBA. Why would she be going to the Olympics? You should put somebody who's younger and give them an opportunity. That's the argument there. That's the basis isn't the fact that how many games she played in WNBA. She's not doing that well because, you know, what she did in college is not.
Because she's 84 years old. That's the problem now.
How about this, Mac? How about this? What if the U.S. would have picked Cheryl Swoops up and not put on someone like Taurasi just to give Cheryl Swoops another opportunity to be the first Black African woman to come back and play over the age of 40? Would that have been okay? Would that have been okay? Let's put Swoops back on the team.
What I'm saying is you get the 10 best WNBA players, and that's your Olympic team. It's that simple.
Here's the thing.
You guys are going down all these side roads, not me. I'm saying very simple. The 10 best players should be on the Olympic team.
I think
clear. I'm clear.
If you're watching women's basketball from college and WNBA and you're looking at the USA roster, you could probably legitimately say there are 7 great women basketball players on the team. 7. I wouldn't go as far as say there's 11 or 12 because the other 4 they got are either playing at the level that Clark is playing now or below it. And
right.
That's
I don't believe that.
Begins.
Of course not, because you're watching WNBA so much that you get to see all this. Get the hell out of here, Mac. Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. I've been watching more WNBA now than I've watched in my life.
Just because you yell doesn't make you right.
But actually, if you listen to me, I am right. But if you listen to me, I am right. That just because I'm yelling doesn't mean that I'm wrong.
And another point is I think to put
you're telling Carlos is telling me there's 3 players worse than Caitlin Clark on the team right now. Who are those players, Carlos?
Okay. Before I go and say I don't because I don't want to sound like they don't deserve to be on the Olympic team. What I'm gonna say next is that also if you put Caitlin Clark on the team becomes smaller and guard heavy. So with that being said, I'm just going to leave it at this. The team that they put together now could be a little bit better. Without mentioning names and dodging people's. All right.
Watch Italy. Watch Italy win this.
Is that fair to say?
Win the Olympics.
If you put Caitlin Clark on the team,
I can't wait for it to happen.
She's an extra guard, and she makes the Team USA smaller. Right or wrong? Like that. I mean, I can understand and see that for like a basketball management and coaching standpoint. Like, because I don't want to dodge these women because anybody who's doing what they're doing now deserves to be where they're at. But all I can say is that this should have been Caitlin Clark's first Olympic.
I agree. And they're taking her out. They're taking her out because it's all this women shit. It's all the women stuff that's causing this problem. I tell you what, they're going down this slippery slope. Nobody's going to watch the WNBA in another year because it's going to be too much. Oh we just took her out of it. We just didn't want her anymore. We want the spotlight on us. Forget Caitlin Clark. I tell you. That's why I'm so happy that she's going for Italy. I don't think she's even got a drop of Italian blood in her, and she's going to go play for Team Italy. That's That's what I'm talking about. The,
All right.
the fact that they are so ignorant. That's what it is. It's ignorance that's causing her not to be on this team. And
I
it's
think
ignorance to
well,
think that
I think
all of this stuff is happening for the WNBA because of everybody else except Caitlin Clark.
So John Delane,
What's crack? That's what cracks me up. That's what I'm talking about.
I think it has something to do with the play too, Pag.
Okay.
She has one of the best, quickest shots of all the women playing basketball today. Like,
Right,
also
right.
has-
And just because she's played 12 games in a professional league where they're literally hacking the living hell out of her, but she had the best 5 years of college of any college basketball player ever.
I think she
Tell
only
me
played.
that because I'm yelling, I'm wrong about that too. Tell me because I'm yelling.
I think she only played 2 years for Indiana. It's about 2 years she played, but maybe 5 years if you count. I don't know what else.
Is my mic
Guys,
still
we gotta
bad?
get going. Go ahead, James. I'll let you get the last word in. Go ahead, buddy.
Is my mic still bad?
No,
No.
it's good. Now. Is that why you?
Okay. Caitlin Clark, again, go back to what Pag said about Christian Laettner. That's the prime argument. I think we discussed that pre-show. You can't argue that. I mean, he was probably during the time when they played against the Fab Five, he was still arguably the best college player. So they put him on the. His NBA career was just mediocre at best, but it doesn't matter. He was still on the team because he was the best college player. Why not put her on an international stage, and especially at a time. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Especially at a time when she's making a huge transition for the WNBA to get them more viewership. It makes.
You keep talking WNBA. This is the Olympics. This is
absolutely.
Not the WNBA. This is not the WNA. This is the American Olympic team against the other countries' Olympic teams.
You know what? Hold on. Would you tell me that Christian Laettner was better than Dominique Wilkins? Was Christian Laettner better than Dominique Wilkins ever?
What does that have to do with
Never.
anything?
It was pushed off the team because of Christian Laettner. Get the hell out of here. I'm clear.
You keep saying you're clear. What does that have to do with anything? Just because they did it in the NBA doesn't mean they do it in the WNBA. Carlos says they have been doing it. I'm gonna check this out because from what I read, they've never done this with college players coming in and being on the. I'm gonna check it out because what I read it never happened. But I'm gonna check it out. But anyway, thanks again for joining us today, folks. Have a great Wednesday night, and we'll see you soon. Stay with Roku all night. Have a good one.
welcome home.